In this tutorial I will show how to use Revit for visualization of solar radiation simulation done in Vasari. First I will give an overview over what I have done. I have a view with geometry inside Revit as overlay for the simulation. This is a drafting view where I have placed an image, and last a legend also directly from Vasari placed in a Revit legend, but I'm not going to show this in this video. Here we are in Vasari. Just to mention how I created the model, I started with a big ground plane, and then there were a defined site where the building should be placed. So I created a separate Mars ground for the site and used this for the simulation of the solar radiation. And then I run the solar radiation for the site with the different form concepts and have created a specific style for the summer simulation, so the legend is customized to the different amount of solar radiation. And with this kind of simulation I always try to go to the highest resolution, and typically it's quite fast to run, so it's no problem. Then I also decided to only look at top views and not in perspective views to make it easier to compare. And by selecting this site mask and click on top on the view cube, it will zoom in around this object. Hide the solar radiation menu, move the legend, turn off the shadows so I only have the simulation. I could also remove, just temporary, the context and the proposal, and turn off the trees as well, so I have a very clean view. So I have the same part of the model for all of the form concepts and context simulation to make it easier to export and compare later on. And when I want to take a print of this image of the simulation, I prefer to use the snipping tool instead of the export image within Vasari. So I open up the snipping tool, say new clip, select the rectangular clip to have the option of specifying what I'm taking screen print of, as close as possible to the boundary of this mass site. From the snipping tool I save the image. For this I have created a structured file naming so I know exactly what I'm saving and easy to understand when I import it in Revit. So solar summer plan form concept 2 as it is for this view inside Vasari, and then save. Back in Revit, where I'll start with creating a top view like these of the context. Here I just duplicate one of the floor plan views. Could also have used the 3D views, but it's best with the 2D floor plans. So I copy the side view, right click, duplicate view, and a new view is created. And here we don't need the shadows, so I turn them off. I don't need all these different categories like the scope box and the reference plane, so I will turn those off by select them and right click and say hide category. Make sure it have the right scale. Earlier I have found out that 1 to 1500 is a good scale to have all the views like this. So I will do that in the view I want to use for the overlay for the different simulations. And finally I rename the view to something logic. C for concept and 2 for concept 2, and then solar for solar radiation and summer, and then press OK. When the editing of the overlay view is done, then it's time to place it on the sheet for presentation of these simulations. I close it and open up the sheet where I want to place it, drag it from the project browser onto the sheet, remove the text for this view by going to properties, say no title. Early on I have created a scope box to define the size of this frame I want to have on the sheet. So I select my view, go to properties, on the scope box, select that scope box I already have created, analysis, context, make sure I can see the crop region so I can snap to this view, have the view selected, activate move from the corner here of the view, it should be up here, and now it is placed as the other ones. Next step is create a drafting view from the view panel and select drafting view. It is a very good idea to give these views some logical names. In this case I have chosen V2 for proposal 2 solar because it's a solar radiation, and it's a solar radiation for the summer. In earlier videos I have found out that a good scale for this project is 1 to 1500, so I will choose custom in this case and write 1 to 1500 and OK. And this is the drafting view. In here I just start by draw a reference plane as default and close it, because I want to put it on top of this so I know the right size of the side. Of course I know it here, but to show you how you should do it from scratch. This you don't have to do every time, because then you just copy this drafting view and replace the image with another image. Over in the project browser I will find my drafting view and drag it onto this sheet like this. And if there were no geometry or reference plane on this drafting view, I couldn't place it. That's why I did that. And then I just remove the title by have it selected, and under properties I just choose no title instead. Click on it and activate view, zoom a little bit in, and then create reference plane matching the side. Don't have to be 100% precise, but as close as possible will make it easier for you. So I do it in 3 directions, these reference plane. So I have the width and then the top of the image placement. Then I don't need the last one here. And then deactivate the view and then open the drafting view. Remove the first reference plane, don't need that anymore. In here I go to insert to have the option of import an image, select image, and now it's very easy to find the right image I want to use because I've given some logical names. So in this case I will do the proposal 2 as the same name of the drafting view, and it was the summer condition. So open, and then it will place the image. As we can see, it's way too big. And then I just scale it down and move it to the right position. Sometimes you have to a little bit back and forth for this. I could also use the scale tool up here, this one, but I could also just do this. And then this corner should be the intersection between these 2 reference planes, something like this. And then maybe a little bit bigger again here. Then I just drag in the point, something like that. That's probably fine for this. By having it scaled to the model, so it's 1:1, so to say, it's easier to change the scale after if I find out it should bigger or smaller the views for the presentation of the simulations, instead of scaling the image once again. And when we are finished with the scaling, we can go back to the sheet where we have placed the image. As we see here, it's fit perfect. And regarding the resolution, then it's probably okay at this stage. That is not totally fine resolution on this image. As long as we have the building with sharp edges, then this method is very good. So to summarize, I started by exporting image from Vasari, made sure that I only exported the simulation with the snipping tool. Back in Revit I created drafting views and put some reference planes on, so I had the option of scaling the image in the right size, because I also wanted to have the drafting view in a specific scale, in the same scale as the model overlay directly from Revit. And when you are finished with the importing images and set up the sheets and views and so on, this could look something like this within Revit.